Well, good morning, everyone. All right, good morning. I see we have a couple people already joined in the room this morning. Some couple people dropped out. Let's see what's happening here. Awesome, awesome, good, good. Go ahead and put your greetings in. If the sound is coming across clearly, say so. If I need to make some adjustments, put it there so I'll know. All right, all right. Let me move some things around here for ease of delivery this morning. Okay. Well, good morning. Um, got, all right. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you were able to join me this morning. We're going to jump right into this morning's presentation. Welcome to this morning's version or edition of Sunday Solutions. I want to start with a question. What if what if the very thing that you're waiting for is actually waiting for you? Have you ever thought about that? Um, so welcome. I want you to think about that throughout this entire presentation um, this morning. I'm Greg Stanton. Many of you know me as Asar. This is our sacred space for spiritual sovereignty and transformation. Here, we work from the ancient wisdom, not just as history, but as a toolkit for now. So today's lesson is entitled From the Deep to the Declaration, Awakening the Creative Word Within. It's more than just a title. This is a calling. We're traveling from a primordial deep, that is the waters of infinite potential, that we all are swimming in into a power of declared word. That is, how do we bring the things that we're thinking about, the ideas we have, the things we imagine into the realm of manifestation? It's called using the declarative word. So we are becoming intentional architects here of our reality, not just passive observers of life as we go through. Now, my objective today is to awaken a deeper metaphysical awareness of our roles as creators and to explore the spiritual depth behind speaking from the formless to the form. We find an example of this when we look in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, where the formless, which was man, was formed. We see that he was created first as an idea, and then it was formed. And we're going to look at that. And so this is a principle we have to become consistently familiar with, that things come from the invisible to the visible. So that's something I want you to keep in mind as you move through life, knowing that whatever desired first is created in the invisible realm, and then it manifests in this visible realm. I want to start with this week, my grandson was born. His name is Breeze. He delayed his birth after the water broke. He lingered in the deep, like many of us do spiritually, until it was time. Water broke at 12:45 a.m. and he didn't come until around 3:15 later that day. And so as I was contemplating that, I was saying many of us have ideas that are lying dormant or appear to lie dormant, and we know it's time, but it's not coming forth. So I want this morning to ask you this question. Are you still being incubated or floating in what the Kemetic cosmology would call the none? And we're going to kind of explore that. I want you to expand your understanding of the Kemetic cosmology stories or creation stories. There's three distinct creation stories that have been compiled into one creation story and given to us in the book of Genesis. But this one creation story, when you even read it, it looks as though it's two different stories. Because what has happened is the original Bible, when it was put together, they drew from the Kemetic wisdom and teachings, never telling us, never exposing us, and they combined these three into one. And therefore, we have a difficult time really understanding what is being spoken to in Genesis. And I want to kind of unpack that for you today in particular, s- dealing with just how we bring things into fruition. So I want to use this story and use the example of my grandson as an abstract for this morning's question is, what are you still floating in? Or where are you still incubating something and not taking it for action? Many times it's comfortable to stay in the womb of creation. And because of that, we will linger instead of taking the next creative action. So Genesis tells us that the earth was without form and void. When you look at Genesis chapter 1, and that darkness was upon the face of the deep. Now, when we look at that from Kemetic wisdom, when they say God, the term would be the principle patah. Patah brought the world into being through the heart of his tongue. So when we talk about, when we use the term God, it's very generic, whereas when the commissions used a particular aspect, like it would say patah, it talks about the principle of the creator. Whereas when inside of the traditional religion, Christianity in particular, we use a term or a all-inclusive term as God, meaning one God, but and then we'll look at the Kemetic system and say they had many gods, when in essence the many gods that the um, the West looks at are really one God with many manifestations or aspects to it. And so that helps you understand when we just say God, we lose the true essence of the process of creation. So this morning we want to look at that. So we see that Ptah, which is the principle, not necessarily a person, that brought the world into being through the heart and face of the deep. Okay, so the key teaching point here in both traditions is creation begins in the deep. Now, the Commissions or the Kemetic deep starts with what's known as the nun. Now, many times you'll read and you will see that word nun, N-U-N, which represents the beginning or that that place of chaos, that place where every possibility exists, but nothing is coming forth. That's the nun. The nun has two aspects to it. We have a unseen potential, and we have the sacred womb of the nun, which is often called the nun and the nunette. So basically, we always see inside of Kemetic thought the duality, but represented in one, understanding the sacredness of the divine feminine energy and masculine energy to create. And so it's important that we understand that when we talk about these divine principles, you want to think in terms of energy state, such as the nun being raw potential, the nunette being the sacred womb that shapes it. So you have the raw potential, and then you have the sacred womb that creates it. Creation occurs when spirit or the intention, that is, moves upon the waters. Now, the womb and the word must work together. So, same way in creation, we must understand that where it says the Spirit moved, basically it's saying that God or Ptah spoke and creation existed or responded. That's really important. So I want you to understand that where you're stuck in spiritual potential and haven't yet moved is probably because you're lacking a declaration. Floating in the none, that basically means that you're lingering in potential that is without form or execution. So you have these things you're imagining, and you can have a lot of imaginings going on. You can have a lot of ideas, but there's no execution. Nothing happens until there's execution. And execution isn't always doing something physically, but it's always speaking something. So we speak things into existence. Now, before we speak it, we start rehearsing it. So it's a thought. So the thought that is spoken is the bringing it from the thought is in the invisible realm, but when we add speech to it and speak it, we now move it or create a portal for the thing that you have thought to come into this physical realm. Okay, so that's important that we get clear on that. So you can just think a lot of things and become frustrated because nothing is happening. Nothing happens until you take the thought, the thing that you're imagining, the things that you are thinking, and you speak them. The word says, speak the word, to speak the word in season and out of season. Now, understand this. Uh, when we are talking about lingering in potentiality, it shows up like this. You could be a chronic planner or with no execution, chronically planning things, but there's no execution, or hiding behind alignment talk. You're talking alignment, and we do all these things. Well, we talk the game, but we're not in the game. You can have so many ideas, and nothing is finished. And we all are guilty of that. I'm a creative being. I have so many ideas running in my head, so many projects going on, but we have to be careful that we don't allow overactivity to mask as either misalignment or that you're actually on point. Now, here's this which is something you need to understand. The deep is not delay, it's divine design. And what I mean by that is that um, we, when we talk about God or Ptah representing a conscious imagination becoming sound. Okay. We see that source is not just a deity or God or Ptah, but it's a symbol of divine action through spoken word. So what the Greek called the logos. And so we have to understand it's the word that creates, the word that is spoken is the word that brings the idea from the imagined place, from the place of possibility, from the place of pure potential into the reality of experiencing it. So that's important. So when we talk about Ptah, we're talking about conscious imagination becoming sound, not just thinking about something, but you're speaking it into existence. If we said, and God said, or Ptah said. Now, when we say Ptah, that's not saying that Ptah is a God, but if we're talking about a principle, the principle of speech, okay? And many of us, we linger inside of the none or the state of idea where nothing is in existence, but the possibility of it coming in existence is there. And we get frustrated because nothing's coming forth because we're not speaking it into existence. And when we speak a thing with the understanding that it is done, our behavior should align with that. Okay, so I want you to speak out loud right now. I want you to say wherever you are, I want you to say, I declare that I am now. Okay. Bring yourself real present. I am now. I declare that I release. Okay. This is the ability that you have. I declare I embody. Say it one more time. I declare that I'm now. I declare that I release. I declare I embody. So speak your word as a law. Speak it as Ptah or God would. Let it move upon the waters of your life. This week, I want to challenge you. I want to um, give you some practical steps to move from floating to forming, from being in the state of possibility to the move it to the state of the potentially seeing it happen. It's called the 7-day activation plan. Okay, so first of all, I would like you to, over the next 7 days, first start with identify where you're floating in what we would call the none or primordial consciousness. So, where do you feel stuck right now in possibility without progress? That's what I want you to begin to I put a finger on. Where am I feeling stuck in possibility without progress? This is where your ideas, your dreams, your visions feel real, but you haven't given them a voice or direction. And some of that is because you're really not clear. You're not really definite. You really are still in the formative phase. But you have to come to the point where you sign off on this is what I want to create. This is what I desire to experience. This is what I'm moving from the invisible to the visible realm. So once you get clear on that thing and not vacillate, now you can speak it with a surety, and when you speak it with the surety, you feel it and you resonate with it. So, day one, I want you to really spend some time identifying where you're floating in what is called the state of none, the state of possibility, the state of creation. Okay. The darkness, that's the darkness was on the face of the deep. You're in that place and you want to bring that thing from the darkness to the light. Day two, I want you to discern what's womb holding you. Okay. That is, I would like you to think about where am I being stuck or am I stuck in what is known as a sacred gestation period? Okay. I want you to understand that whether you are still in sacred holding, okay, that is a productive stillness or stalling. You have to ask yourself, am I really in productive stillness where source wants me to be? Or am I stalling like a child? It takes 9 months, okay, for gestation for the entire period to happen, and we expect that. But come that ninth month, we're expecting that child to come forth at any time. So that child is your idea may be in a productive stillness, okay? Stillness because you don't see it. But also you have to ask yourself, am I at the point where now I'm stalling? Like my grandson, perhaps he was stalling because he's been in this sacred womb, in this place that feels good, in this place where there's no challenge, in this place where now you don't have to step into your soul role. Okay, and so many of us oftentimes can be in a productive stillness. And then when the time is over, we remain there because there's no failure there. But now, and so we stall. We want to avoid the work. We want to avoid the possibility. And so you have to say, I'm coming out of this thing. I'm going to bring this thing to fruition. And there is no failure. Okay. Now, there'll be maybe a learning experience. So that's what I want you to think about in day two. Are you in productive stillness or are you stalling? Okay. Why haven't you taken it to the market? Why haven't you come fully forward? You have to discern that. On day three, I want you to meditate on the word your soul wants you to speak. Okay. This is not just affirmations, it's listening inward for the divine word rising from the deep within. And I invite you to do that. Despite to invite you each morning when you rise to ask, okay, what does source want to express as through me? And then you want to meditate on the word that comes forth. Whatever comes forth, whatever you're creating, whatever you desire to bring into fruition, whatever you're desiring to experience, meditate on that. On the fourth day, I want you to speak it aloud and write it down. Okay. I want you to declare it aloud. Okay. And, we could do that as a group, but I want you, or you can do that with others, but I caution you because sometimes the scriptures clearly says, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. And sometimes you want to keep the thing that you're declaring to you. But when you say it, it activates energy. So there's power of your word to activate. It moves things. It creates things. It attracts things. Your words are frequency. The word has energy to it. Okay. And you want to speak it and you want to write it. Writing anchors it into the physical reality. So whatever you're going to speak, you might want to write it first. And then you speak it. Because when you write it, you can get real clear on it. Okay. You can get clear on, is anything left out? Or can I say it better? Or am I writing it and when I read it, do I resonate with it? Okay. Maybe it's too strong. Then you soften it up. You bring it to the place where you resonate with what you wrote and you don't feel challenged by it because now when you speak it, you can own it. And then the fifth day, you want to take a soul aligned action. Okay. Um, Action creates momentum. It's a sign to the universe that the words that you've spoken have legs. So you do the next right thing. So you want to align your spoken word with the actions you take that support it. Okay? That's important. And then on the sixth day, what I really want you to do when we talk about aligning it, that's we're moving into activity. And then on the sixth day, I want you to repeat your word daily. I mean, throughout the day. Let the word become a frequency that you live into and that uh, emotes from you, not just something you say, but let it have energy. Okay, make sure the words that you're speaking have energy, not just quoting it, not just saying it to say it. And then many times we have these affirmations that have nothing behind them except something that we have memorized or something that we hope. But you got to let your affirmations represent your expectation. Okay. And you want to embody it. You want your words you speak to ultimately culminate in you embodying it in day seven. That's what it's all about. The challenge here is for you to act from it, to walk it, speak it, show up like it already. Don't wait until whatever, if you're saying you're a writer, show up as a writer. Don't have someone have a conversation with you say, ultimately, I will write. No, you express as though I've already written. I'm in the process of writing. Okay, whatever it is, you embody it now. Okay, so if you see yourself being it, now you have to be it. You have to begin to change how you're showing up to align with if it has already happened, what would look different about you now? And then you have to align with that. So I encourage you to write these things down, even place them on your mirrors, to journal them, or to, if you have an altar, you can put it on your altar. It's not to be put there like it as a checklist, but I want you to see it as a process of spiritual embodiment. So the focus today is that so many of us, too many of us, have a lot of things going on in our heads. We have things we desire, but we have not brought them to fruition. We have not allowed the stillness to take take to set in, the gestation period. Sometimes you get an idea and you go running with it. Sometimes you gotta have to allow it to gestate. Sometimes you gotta just allow it to grow. And that 9 months, that period. Now, nine means completion. So and it might be 2 days, it maybe instantaneously, but what it has to be is it complete. So when you have an idea, you want to ask, is it complete or am I still building on it? Do I need to get more clarity about it? And so once it's complete, now you can move it from the stillness, because you're not doing any work, source is doing the work, and then you speak that thing totally into being. And when you speak it into being, that's when you do your work. That's when you align with the things that you're speaking. That's important. Now, let me take us into an affirmation this morning as we prepare to wrap up our time together. Right where you are, just take a big centering breath in, hold it, and now exhale. Take another breath with your eyes closed. Continue to breathe in and out. Beloved Source, we honor. We honor the waters of the womb. We honor the word that's within us. We declare we rise from the deep. We speak with divine clarity. We are Ptah informed. Our word is law, and so it is. And what we declare is a decree. And what we decree, it shall be. That's important. So, as you move into this week, I want you to know that you have to move from the darkness to the light. The darkness is not really knowing with clarity what it is you desire to experience, desire to be. You could do or be anything you desire to be. I know often we have been told we come here scripted to experience a certain thing, but at any moment in experience something, we can change that thing. The word says, "Source gives you the desire of your heart." And so we have a lot of teachings out here that says you're born into this earth to experience a certain thing. But I don't really believe that. I believe you are born into this earth with the opportunity to experience whatever it is you desire to experience. So we want to move from the deep to the declaration. We want to move from the formless to the form. Okay? And you can only move from the formless to the formed if you're informed about the creative process. And the creative process is the creative word that lies within each of us. This word lies dormant. I'm going to spend some time in the near future really explaining the various cosmologies that the Cometians offered, that the Egyptians offered, that has culminated into what we have in our Bible, particularly in Genesis. And because it has been um, offered as a conglomerate of different teachings and not knowing where these teachings come from, we see it misinterpreted. I often talk about Genesis 1, man created in the image and after the likeness of source was man was being he went from the state of being a spirit being to a form being. Things go from the invisible to the form, where we see over in Genesis 2, where now he is created, that is, he is formed. He went from an idea, he went from the spiritual essence to being able to express in this realm. Spirit cannot express in this realm until it is formed. When we see a flower, it's an expression of an aspect of spirit, an idea that source perhaps has, and it forms into the flower. And the same with you and I. We were in the beginning, and now we have been um, outsourced, each one of us, as an expression of source of what it would be like to be this person. And each one of us represent that person. And so all of us as a conglomerate represent source, okay, with many manifestations of itself. And some of us operate, some individuals operate in a highest form of source, and some of us operate, some individuals operate in a lower vibrational frequency where you see things that are very or undesired. But even those things are an expression of source. So we sometimes say that the continuum to the right, which represents God in his greatest form, is all God is, or but the reality is God is represented in the earth from the continuum, from the low vibrational to the highest vibration. And it's important that we know that. Now, and we can always move up the scale as well as you can move down the scale. You have to be deliberate and intentional as to where you want to be on the scale. And it's about transforming. Transformation is about moving from here to there. And the here to there should be a betterment of oneself. Now, I hope you got that. Okay. So those are the 7 things I want you to do this week. In addition to that, I want you to just be present, listen, be still. Start your day in the stillness. End your day in stillness and see what source is showing you, what it's saying to you. And then when it comes to fruition, or when it hits that point of what I call that the place of completeness, then you speak it. We have to be careful that we don't speak prematurely. We could think it, but be careful when you speak it. A thought withheld is not as impacting as a thought that is spoken. Now, thoughts that are withheld, and you think them continually, they do impact you. But once you speak something into the atmosphere, into this ecosystem, it produces after its kind. So you have to take some time, um, pay attention to what you're thinking, get your thoughts lined up, make sure what you're thinking or the thing imagined is the thing you desire to experience. And sometimes don't dummy it down. I mean, if it's grand, let it be grand. And then you speak that thing into being. It's God in you working to do the things through you. That's important. All right, so we're gonna go into the green room this morning. If you're with me and you have questions, or if you have a, a question, or you have an aha or something you want to share, just go ahead and raise your hand, or you could type it into the feed there. It's good to see a few of you showed up this morning. If you don't want to see it, don't say it. Now, that's right. That's right. And so it says, cast down every thought. So before you even get to the point of not saying it, if you have seen something, imagining something that you don't want to experience, you have to cast that thought down. And you cast it down by replacing it with the thought of the thing desired. Carolyn, that's a good point. Many times we think of things so frequently, and then because we think it so frequently, that's what comes out of our mouths. Out of the heart flows the issues of life. And so you want to listen to what you say as well as to what you think. Cut it off at the path. If you're thinking the wrong thoughts, thinking, you want to clean that up. You want to bring your thoughts into alignment with the proper principles. And here's the principles. Things just don't happen to us. Things happen through us. So when we look at Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word. No, that's John 1. In Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and there was darkness upon it. Okay, so the idea that everything comes out of the darkness or out of the place of pure potential is something we have to grasp. So imagine again, dream again, and dream a full dream. Imagine a full idea. And then once you have that thing imagined, now you speak that thing. It's the word says, you just shall decree a thing and it shall be. Awesome. All right, let me see if I see any hands up this morning. I don't see any hands. Let's see what's happening over here in the on the YouTube channel. I see we have a number of people watching there. But I can't, for some reason this morning, I don't see the live chat. Let me see here. I don't see anything in the live chat. But I noticed that there are a number of people there. Awesome. Well, that's all I have this morning. Carolyn, you have the mic.
Good morning, Asar.
Yes, good morning.
It's good to be with you this morning. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be with you this morning and to hear this teaching. Just have a quick question, maybe an observation. Um, sometimes when we're on the prayer call at 6 o'clock hour, I'll say, to you, I feel compelled to speak this. It's like I think you were teaching on sound, the vibration of sound at one
Mhm,
time.
mhm.
And it was interesting to me that sometimes, I'll read something and the thought will come, say it out loud. Or I'll think something and the thought will come, speak it out, sound it out, right? So yeah, that was just an observation from this morning's
So when
teaching.
and so when you look at the Kemetic cosmology or the beginning story, it talks about none and nonette, which is the state of what appears to be chaos, a pure potential where everything exists, and then inside of that came forth another aspect of source, which is the creative aspect of source known as Ptah, and Ptah spoke. And when the Ptah spoke, all creations responded. So when we look in Genesis chapter 1, we see, and God said. And so really that's Ptah said, let there be light. The word God is generic. It has nothing behind it, but we have created something behind it. Whereas when you use the principles, the energies that are being used in the Kemetic cosmology is not about a person, but it's a principle. And the principle that I'm speaking of this morning is the principle of speaking. When we look at Genesis chapter 1, it says, and God said, let there be. God
Yeah,
said, and it's separated. And so
exactly.
you have to begin to speak the word over your situation. Your situation doesn't change until you speak it. You could feel it, but you have to speak it and let your conversation align with that. Yeah, that is
Okay.
so important. That's a principle. Yes. Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else got anything they want to share, or insight, or um, something you want to add to this morning? If not, we're going to go ahead and move on into the rest of this day. And I pray that something uplifting and encouraging has been spoken to you. And know this, that you can join us each and every morning, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 6:15. And I've been presenting something a little different. I've been presenting more of a neuro-linguistic type of programming where we will take a particular topic and we will go through that NLP process that helps you anchor, to help you begin to experience something very different than you've been experiencing. So join us and see what that's all about. All right. You guys have a wonderful day and know that something serendipitous is headed your way. Peace.